Hey everybody, this is Mark Bozon here reporting from the historical Indianapolis Motor Speedway to give you guys an exclusive first look at Indianapolis 500 Legends, exclusively for Nintendo Wii, brought to you by Destiny Studios. The game is still in this preliminary form, about 50% of the way done, but it didn't stop us from getting a chance to go hands-on with it, give you some direct feed, and interview the team from Destiny Software. Enjoy.
Indy 500 Legends is a very accessible, arcade-styled Wii racing game that's based on the heroes and the cars from the 1960s Indy races. So we go from 1961 to 1971. In the game there's going to be about just over 35 cars and just over 30 racers. It's gonna be all the guys you know. It's like Mario Andretti, it's Dan Gurney, it's AJ Foyt, Parnelli Jones. All of those guys are in it, and sort of their like greatest exploits. Everyone who won an Indy 500 in there is in there, and then when you race the game, there will be a full field of 33 guys.
The unique thing about Indy and the Indianapolis 500 is there really was never a race year where all of the cars finished, and there was a lot of dangers involved with these cars, with open-wheel cars in general, and that you don't see with a lot of other racing games. You have tires coming off the cars when they collide, and much easier than, say, for instance, if you were to lose a tire in a NASCAR event and whatnot. We're going to have smoke screens. If you've ever seen the movie Cars or even Days of Thunder, when you've got those crashes, you've got the smoke, they're going to have to drive through that stuff. There were fires. I mean, it was a very dangerous place to be as a race car driver driving the Indianapolis 500, but there was also a lot of pride in racing this race.
Within the game, there's two different variants you can do. You can either just choose to like race the race, which is saying like I want to do anywhere from 20 to 200 laps. And you just race, and it's 200 laps, and it takes about 7 hours, depending on which year you're running in, and that is no small time investment. To counter that and to make something a little bit more accessible, we also have a really wide series of scenarios that you can pick, and those will recreate really famous events from within each Indy race. So if there's a time where it's, you know, two of the drivers are trading positions, they're trading leadership positions over like 4 laps, and they're trading back and forth, and it's this just battle royale for the last couple of laps, you'll do that. And you need to trade laps, and that guy is going to chase you, and he's going to try and pass you, and he's going to cut you off, and stop you from doing some of the things that we have in the game, which is a concept of drafting, and also like a slingshot maneuver. Because the cars weren't very focused on aerodynamics, in particular not much downdraft like you see today, the slingshotting and drafting was crucial.
What we did is we went to great lengths. IMS is it's a massive track. They've got multiple buildings. We had access to their photo lab department. We had thousands of image requests to try and get different views of cars, as well as the track itself. We laid out the track every year from 1961 to 70 year. We don't want to miss a thing. There was a big tree on turn 4. There was a big tree outside of turn 1. We want to make sure that tree's there. A gentleman, Bob Clydenst, he had been at the track as a young kid with his dad, who was actually a mechanic here for several years, and he drafted mechanical design schematics of these cars way back before most people really would have needed them for licensing and whatnot. However, the drivers wanted them because they all wanted their cars. And so he had unbelievable access to these cars, and most of these cars aren't around anymore, so it's very difficult to get that kind of research.
Destinier, they wanted the information from the drawings to replicate the cars for the video games that I have probably 300 plus different car drawings available and more in the works that I am trying to furnish in hopes of aiding the accuracy and realism of the games so that the cars should be as authentic as they actually were if you were looking at photographs.
The multiplayer mode in Indy 500 Legends is 2-player split screen. You'll be head-to-head, and either of you can choose the cars that you've unlocked in the single-player mode. So one of you can take Foyt's car from '67 versus Andretti's car from '67. and see which one wins. Or you can have a roadster from the beginning of the decade and a turbine and go against each other. And you'll be accompanied with some AI drivers as well. There's also 3 pit stop mini games. When you do just a straight race, you'll do pit stops according to kind of when you want to and when your team's advising you to. We also have scenarios that replicate sort of situations that happened in the pits, because a lot of these races in particular were really won or lost in pit stops. So in the game, you'll be able to change tires, and they have knockoff hubs. So you'll use the Wiimote to knock off the hubs. You'll change the tire, put the hub back on, and off you go. And we'll also have fuel refilling and also putting out fires, because it was a really dangerous era of racing.
You know, I think with what everybody's trying to do here is just portray the history and the legendary names that are associated with this racetrack. When you look at some of those cars that people raced back then, I think I'm pretty brave around this place. But when you look at those cars, there's no way that I would do certainly what some of those guys did, and you know, that's what makes them legends.
What these drivers did in the 60s is so insane when you think about what kind of situation they're in. They're in a handmade car that you hope holds together. They're gonna drive it for 7.5 hours. There's no power steering, there's no cockpit. Everything that flies by your head is flying right by your head. There's no cockpit at all. So we can let people get an element of that in this game and let them be scared and let them think like, oh, I really gotta make it around this corner, and let them have that tension and learn about the rivalries and the technology and the bravery of what all these guys did. And it's just really badass.